Okay, welcome to the Vermont Legislative Tourism Caucus. Today is February 26th. This is our last one prior to our town meeting day break. So we just really are having a discussion about some of the issues and legislation we're following and get an update and then see what we want to do as a caucus or individual caucus members to either push things along or follow things more closely. But we want to get sort of an update on things. We do have the commissioner of the Vermont Department of Tourism and Marketing on the meeting with us. She's not doing any kind of presentation, but is here to answer some questions, especially when we get to the issues that are really in her domain, which is the funding, marketing fund, and then, as she knows, we've been working on a reopening plan, on trying to get a more specific reopening plan. So so Heather is here. Thank you, Heather, for joining us, and jump in anytime on things, please. Okay, so I guess I'm going to start with the easiest one, I think. And now that I see that Representative Yantachka is on, we're going to start with agritourism, which is H89. And that, as we know, passed the House last week, or maybe even earlier this week. It passed final passage and is now in the Senate Committee on Judiciary. I'll open this up for any discussion. From what I understand, there has been some reluctance in the past on this with regard on that Judiciary Committee, but I heard that secondhand, so I'm not sure if anybody knows anything about age 89 and its prospects. Or go ahead, Alice.
So it was in the Judiciary Committee. It was a few years ago now, and the issue was basically that there was no that you were eliminating the ability for someone to sue if even if the farm had done some grossly negligent action that caused someone injury. So there was a lot of testimony on both sides, and it just arrived at our committee yesterday. So okay. We will be taking it up, but not quite. It'll be certainly after crossover.
After crossover, yeah. Okay. Do you know if, Mike, if there were any changes from the one that they saw in previous years to this one?
Yeah, this does not eliminate this version of the bill does not eliminate the ability to sue if there was gross negligence involved.
Okay.
And I think the House Agriculture Committee took extensive testimony on that, and we're concerned about, working that out.
Okay, great. Okay, so Alice, we're just going to keep following that, and if you could, if you could just give us any updates if you get them, if you think about it. I know you're busy too with all your other stuff, so, but we'll keep an eye on that. If anybody has anything, you can always email me too, and I can try to find out. All right, good. So that was the easy one. Matt Byrong, the alcohol legislation, I forget what number that is. I think it's a 300 something.
Yeah, that just came in as 313. Correct. So
13 or 14, Matt?
13. 313 is the big one. 14 was the one just for the license fee reduction. Yep.
Okay. And that was introduced and sent to your committee?
Yeah, correct. And we did a walkthrough on it yesterday. We didn't go too deep into it because there's a lot of different subject matter in here within the alcohol statutes. So we spent the majority of the time just running through the sections, because if folks remember, about half of this bill is stuff that we passed last year and got left on the side of the road because of COVID. So it took a little while to walk through the new committee members. what we had done before, the reasons for it, etc. So this is the bill that has the extension on a 2-year extension on to-go alcohol delivery curbside. This bill also has a proposal to do a 10% off for third-class liquor license holders when they purchase spirits from the state of Vermont. It would also, at that point of sale conversation, allow for credit card use. We're not currently allowed to use credit cards, even though anybody can just walk up on the street and use one. License holders can't. So we're proposing to allow that now. The stuff from last year, one was an extra optional $50 fee for municipalities that may have a standalone third-class liquor license. They're very uncommon. It's a municipal option. It's basically to offset administrative costs within the office, because currently 50% of a first-class license goes to the municipality. None of the third class does. So it's just creating a little bit of wiggle room for them on an administrative fee. Again, that was one from last year. Let's see, we did credit cards, we did wholesale pricing, we did curbside stuff.
Matt, we've got a couple of questions. If you don't,
Sure.
can I, Representative James?
Hi.
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 Kath.
Thanks, everybody. Matt, thank you for all your help with this. This is different from Representative Odie's wine bill, right?
Correct. I believe hers just got introduced yesterday.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for the update. That's got some stuff that was important to some of my restaurant folks down in Bennington. And I don't know if other folks on the call would want to hear about those two provisions.
Sure.
Great. Now I need to remember what they were. One was the ability for, and Matt can help me if I'm messing this up, but one was the ability to be able to ship fortified spirits. So we had Couch and Cork down in Bennington that has shifted over to doing some retail sales since they can't do their tastings and they can't ship fortified wines because they have an alcohol content over, I think it was 16%. So she wants to be able to ship limited amounts of that if people order it.
Okay.
And then I think the second was allowing folks to return unopened cases. Isn't that right, Matt? So if you overbuy for a wedding or an event and you have unopened cases, you could return them, which is currently not allowed.
Do you know the number? Do you know the number of that bill?
I don't. Representative Odie is working on it.
Okay,
and-
I'll look for it. I'll look for it and send it out.
It came in, I believe it came in yesterday or the day before. So it's like a
Okay.
mid-3s.
Okay, I'll send that out to the caucus.
Great. Thanks, everybody. I'm doing dishes, so that's why I'm here.
Okay. Representative Dolan.
I think in the past you couldn't return the wine because they had labels about who was getting married on them. No, it's a joke. I guess it was too early for that joke. I wanted to just mention, as you know, I had a bill to do a 2-year extension for the cocktail takeout, but I withdrew that because I'm putting all my weight behind Representative Barong's bill. So I just wanted to let you know, not to look out for that.
Okay, great. Representative Durfee.
Hi, good morning. I was muted, so you didn't hear me laughing at your joke, Carrie. But and Carol, Representative Odie's bill, I think is 354. Heidi, I don't know if you've tracked her down there, but my question may be the same as at Kathleen's. My son the other day very generously tried to have a fine bottle of spirits shipped to our address and discovered using some sort of online service that he wasn't able to do that. And I'm wondering, Matt, whether your bill changes that Or maybe 354 changes that.
So the component of that is in 354. I have a short form that should be arriving today that discusses this for the beer industry. Sean Hill from Hill Farmstead reached out to me about the same kind of problem. So this is just something that we're seeing across all the different classifications of alcohol and spirits right now. It's been conversations in the past, but with stuff shifting more to an e-commerce delivery platform, I personally think it's something we need to dig into. So I can discuss with Lisa and some other folks in the committee, because it looks like this is going to move first. If there's a possibility of hooking maybe a piece into that before it goes over to the Senate.
So Matt, on 313, so your committee is going to be taking that up and doing its due diligence, and you're expecting it to be to come out of committee.
I expect this to move. Yeah, I expect this to move before crossover.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got some other, like, one of the other sections is on festival permitting that really honed in the consumption parameters on, each attendee can have X amount of fluid ounces of beer, X amount of fluid ounces of wine. And that was something that the manufacturers and the festival organizers wanted. So there's, like I said, about half of this is stuff that should have gotten across last year. So we have a couple of other things that are very COVID relevant.
I'll make sure when I send a follow-up after this thing, I'll make sure to include these links to all the bills, and also try to get a small brief in the email as well for everybody so that you guys can see. We've got a couple of questions. After these couple of questions, I want to move on because we do have Heather here. I want to talk about the governor's two things. So Lisa, Representative Hango.
I just wanted to mention that 354 Carol's bill does not address delivery of spirits. So just flag that, Matt.
Okay.
And there are, I personally, I think it should just be all one conversation, or like one section that in theory touches on all three classifications.
And Representative Peterson.
Yeah, thank you. Matt, just to get an overview of the bills that you have, or the bills, the overall purpose of them is to remove barriers, to make it easier to use alcohol in the recreation field. I mean, is that kind of what it is?
The majority of the intent and purpose of this is to make it easier for the hospitality to do their job.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go to the marketing fund right now, the tourism marketing fund that the governor proposed. I got a first draft 1.1. Stephanie, you might want to jump in here. Draft 1.1 from mid-February of a bill of the economic development bill that's coming from Commerce, and that's the only thing I have. It does have the tourism marketing fund as, I think, almost right at the beginning. Is there any, Stephanie, can you give us any, are you still there? Any update on that?
I'm here. Yeah, you know what? We've been listening and supportive, and but we haven't made any final decisions on it. Like, I think that I haven't heard much controversy in the committee about it, as in years past. I think the only concern that people have is the I don't know what to call it, the NIFT or the gift card or the promotional program. I think there's a little they need some more detail about that.
That's just the general budget for VDTM, right? That's not the.
Well, I believe it's in the bill. It's part of the economic development, or the economic development bill.
Okay.
Grab a draft of it. I don't have, well.
If I could jump in, there's two different sections.
Okay.
So it's addressed separately. So there's the tourism funding model with the initial $1 million, and then there's a separate section for the consumer stimulus. So they're both as separate proposals.
Exactly.
Wait.
So the first part seems to be
Wait, sorry, wait. My apologies, but can you repeat? So the economic development bill has several different components to it in general. It's not all tourism. So one component is the marketing fund, which takes all of the excess, the revenues that come in over and above the consensus forecasts,
right.
and puts it into a fund, and it's jump started by a one-time 1 million. That's one section of the bill.
Right.
And the other section that is for tourism and hospitality is the gift card program.
Well, Heather, you call the consumer stimulus, Pat, right?
That's what we call it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So so the first part has been getting a good reception and good conversations. I think it's very positive. And then the second piece is the one where there's some hesitancy on it. So I think don't know where to go on that one.
So I guess this is where I'd like to maybe have a bit of a discussion. I'm obviously a big fan of the marketing fund, and think that is critical to move us forward as a hospitality state. And I know we've already done one letter, but so that I'd like to put it out there as an idea of maybe another letter to the Commerce and Economic Development Committee or the Appropriations Committee or Ways and Means, whoever it needs. Maybe we don't need it to go to Commerce if it doesn't have any opposition right now, but I'd like to throw that out there for the future. And I don't know enough about the consumer stimulus package, the program and how much that is and what that is. So
I
we could
think what would be helpful on that for Heather, I think it would be helpful. So everyone has had their experience and their thoughts about the NIFT program. And so, that was a very small, successful program, and Heather showed us the data on that. Maybe the second, it would be good to have more information on what this next program is kind of going to look like, and it's sort of different scale. I know Heather's addressed it, but maybe again, it would probably be good for the committee to hear a little bit more about that specific piece.
Yeah, I would be happy to, and I can certainly talk to the chair about coming back in again to talk more about that. I mean, it's interesting because we really see from the administration's perspective, like we can do both. So, there's the tourism, promotion fund, and, how important that is to have that ongoing funding model as well as supporting the industry short term with that initial $1 million. But, the consumer stimulus is sort of coming at it from a different angle, which is like, what else can we do now to support all our small businesses who are trying to recover? And from my perspective, like I'm absolutely welcome to discussion on the best way to do that. It's a bit like the tourism funding. It's like, I hope we can agree on the why and let's talk about the how, because.
Yeah. Like I was reflecting on my use of those programs because I really wanted to like try it all. And then I could not get into the NIFT program, but I used the other local program many, many times. But yet I heard from they call it CEDAR, I don't know, the Rutland Chamber and Economic Development Corporation, that they didn't feel like that went as well for them. But I thought it was like from a very local perspective, I thought that worked out really well. But I have also talked to local vendors who are getting people to come into my little town of Brandon from all over the state because of the NIFT program. So there's a real mix. And maybe that's the answer. Maybe it needs to be a real mix and it's not one.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly, and that's something that, if you don't mind, Heidi, I can share with this group as well. It was introduced in Commerce, but we did do a report on the regional marketing grant program, which basically was giving all individual communities the ability to design whatever program they felt would work best. Because, as Representative Jerome said, we heard different experiences from different communities. They figured out what worked. And there's some, in the report, we included all the feedback that we got, and some of it was like, well, this, you could have done this better, which is fine, but then we can always do things better. And then, we did hear a lot of like, wow, this was just the boost we needed at this time. So, the other thing about, so there's like kind of two ways to go on that. One would be, it's a program that does the same thing that allows for maximum flexibility, run it as a grant program again. The other would be to run it as a statewide program, but to to organize it or define it in a way that accomplishes like another goal. So for instance, if we did a statewide program, we would put it back out to RFP, so it doesn't have to be through the NIFT vendor necessarily. But it would give us a chance, we don't have the funding to have it benefit everybody. So for instance, it could be thought of, and we've had some of these discussions in Senate about this, it could be thought of as like, is there a population that we want to reward or recognize in some way and give them access to this consumer stimulus to help, their spending go that much farther, which then of course, benefits those local businesses. So, that could be, hospitality workers, or it could, and so forth, as a way for like to recognize that they've been on the front line, and give them that extra incentive to support their downtown businesses. So it's a, there's the ability there to really how it's crafted to support both a certain sector of businesses as well as the consumers that then would have that additional buying power.
One of the things I would like just to add on to what Heather's saying is that one of the things that I did like about the gift, the card program was that it incentivized Vermonters to visit other Vermont communities. And I know, like in my town, people are really devoted to our town and shopping and really helping out the local businesses. But it is nice to be able to travel around a little bit. And that was certainly nice during sort of the lockdown, where we could move around Vermont, but not outside the state. And I thought that was a really, it did help, and it did incentivize people to come shop in different areas of the state. I had to jump off for another meeting, but thank you, everybody else.
Representative Durfee.
See you soon.
Representative Durfee.
Good morning again. Thank you, Commissioner Pelham. And following up on Representative Jerome's last remark there about Vermonters, incentivizing Vermonters to move around the state, was there any discussion about having a similar program to the NIFT, the one we did with NIFT, for the lodging industry? Since we can travel, I mean, maybe we shouldn't always, but we're the only ones who can travel without the quarantine, or have been anyway, within the state.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. The original pilot program did include lodging properties. So, we directed it somewhat widely, but basically to cover the industries that we felt, really needed that extra boost. It included lodging, restaurants, retail, entertainment. What we saw from the pilot was that and actually that's why there was with that original program, the amount of the incentive varied. So there was a $10 incentive that you could use at like a fast casual eatery. Most of them were $30, but we did go up to $150 to incentivize lodging specifically, knowing that that's a higher ticket item and it would take more to incentivize that purchase. What we saw from the program was that the redemption rate was not as strong with the lodging offers, and that the redemption rate was strongest at retail and restaurants. So using those learnings, that was why we've proposed, it should be funded again to focus on where it really was most effective. So not that we wouldn't want to do that, but I'm not sure that this particular incentive program is really that effective. The feedback that I've heard from the lodging industry is they would prefer the incentive, the investment to be in the broad destination marketing. But that's how we've approached it that way.
Representative
Good.
Austin.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I don't think Heather will be able to answer this question now, but I think I thought of this before COVID. Like, one thing I would love to do is to give my kids in Boston like a $500 gift certificate to Vermont. And that way they could come up on the weekend. They could come for a week. They could go anywhere. I don't know where they want to stay or where they want to eat, but I have no idea how to do this. But I think a lot of people.
You could buy them a $500 gift certificate to for the Stowe Area Association.
I know. I just thought of that. I don't know. I think that would be a great gift for people in Vermont and for outsiders. So you don't have to figure out where do they want to go? What do they want to do? It could be like a debit card. They could just, use it and there'd be one big fund that I have no idea how to do it, but I think if we could do that, that would be, I don't know, I think it would be a good idea. So that's my 2 cents.
So, so I'm going to go on, but Heather, I'd like to, and I'll reach out to Stephanie Jerome and the Commerce. I think we'd love to, I think, have more information about the particular consumer stimulus package that you're proposing. We've already had the brief on the funding on the tourism marketing fund. But I think maybe I'll just go through some documents and I'll reach out to you and get some stuff and maybe have you come back. Sorry, you keep coming to these meetings, but maybe
Okay,
you come back
I'm
because
happy to.
I think this caucus can help move things along if we're in, on things. I think we can do that. So so we'll be in touch. I do want to, while you're still here, before too many people, the reopening plan. As you know, after our meeting on last Friday, we had, at the suggestion of the caucus, we had started a conversation about setting up a meeting with Governor Scott and Dr. Levine to talk about reopening for our hospitality industries and industry in a particular plan specifically for events. And we sent that request right away, and we're really happy. We weren't able to do it for this week or next week, but we have a meeting scheduled with them on March 10th, and that was good. In addition, we were really pleased to get a memo from the secretary of the agency on Friday evening, talking about events and reopening. And the bottom line is that events, our hospitality industry can expect that soon a reopening will happen very similar to at least where we were in August of 2020. I think that's kind of the bottom line. As we were discussing this, we thought it was still important to have more specifics, which is why we continued with the letter. And we sent that letter. Heather, I think you received that. You were CC'd on that yesterday. So I just wanted to offer that we're asking that a more specific reopening plan be released by March 8th, so that these organizations can start booking events with more confidence. They were very pleased with the fact that the secretary sent out what she did send out on February 19th, but more specificity is needed, they think, and I think our caucus thinks. So I just wanted to give an update of that before just in case the commissioner has to leave. But is there any? I just wanted to open that up for conversation, or if Heather had anything to comment on. Again, she's in receipt of that letter that members of this caucus sent. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can just add, I definitely appreciate, the caucus coming forward with that. And certainly, with putting that memo together was a recognition that, or just wanted to share with everybody that these conversations are happening every day. I mean, literally, like, this is not, it's not something that we're not focusing on. It's just a question of getting to where we need to get to. So I hope that memo did give folks some feeling like we're just hold on a little bit longer. We're getting there. And I know that everybody wants, that level of specificity. And as soon as we can, we will do that. I realize that's not much more of an answer than what you already kind of set up there, but I just want everyone to know that these are conversations that are happening every day.
And I didn't expect obviously some grand specific plan from you today or anything, but I know that the agency and the department are both working toward where we need to be. It's just a matter of the Department of Health and decisions being made probably a little further up, I think, and that's fine, and that's why we've requested the meeting too. So if anybody has anything as we prepare for that meeting, and hopefully we might have more news today from the governor's press conference. We might have more news next week when we're off too. So, but our meeting is on March 10th, and that'll be 4 of us who are it'll be Representative Jerome, Representative Harrison, and Representative Byron and myself. So so we'll keep you posted on that. But if you have any thoughts, if the members of the caucus have any thoughts to kind of chime in, feel free to drop an email or call or whatever. So okay, so that's the reopening. So the last one, and I'm glad that Lisa's still here. Is short-term rental issues. There's a few bills that are in the mix, and I don't know if I'm the only one receiving lots of communication from folks, or if everybody's receiving lots of communication from folks. But I wanted to kind of Lisa, chime in here anytime, but there are a couple of bills in her committee, in the Housing, General and Military Affairs. There's also one in the Senate Economic Development Committee that they're at least they've taken testimony on and continue. From what I understand, in the Senate, the bill is a short-term rental registry, which and then in the House there is just a rental registry bill in general, but included in that is a short-term rental registry bill. And they have taken testimony and are working on that. They've also had a walkthrough, if I'm not mistaken, of H200, which is the one that Representative Kornheiser gave us a brief on at our first meeting. I don't know if Lisa has any update on those, or if we have. I know I'm just saying to at this point, I'm just trying to, given the interest on all sides of this in my community and the people I represent, I'm just trying to keep track of what's going on in those committees. And I know our caucus hasn't had too much on this except for the run through by Emily. So Representative Hango, do you have anything to add?
Sure. The bill in my committee that is the rental registry that includes the short-term rental registry is H256. It also includes the VHIP program with a set aside for the BIPOC community.
What's the VHIP?
VHIP is a Vermont Housing Investment Program, and it encourages first-time home ownership. It's a proposal from the administration. I encourage you all to read a little bit about it. There were proposals last year that were very similar. It's a great program, and this year it includes up to $1 million set aside for the BIPOC community for first-time home ownership, which is really important because only 21%, I believe, of BIPOC folks are homeowners in the state of Vermont. So anyway, the registries are included in that. The Senate version of it is S79. We, in my committee, will be waiting for the Senate version to come to us. We're not going to rush to pass out our bill before crossover. They're essentially very similar bills. So we'll work with the Senate version when we get that after crossover. We did hear from Representative Kornheiser on H200, which is strictly a short-term rental registration regulation, sorry, too many R's bill. And we just had the introduction this week for that. So we haven't gone anywhere with that. We haven't said we're going to take it up or not take it up. I really would like to hear from as many folks as possible in the tourism industry about the different sides to this issue. I've gotten also a number of emails on it, and my communities are all tourism based. So if any of you can kind of give me a synopsis of what you're hearing from your individual communities, I would really appreciate that, so I can weigh the pros and cons in my mind of how it affects tourism in Vermont and how it affects average Vermonters who may just have one property that they'd like to rent out as a short-term rental. Because I'm kind of hearing from both sides of this that there is regulation needed, and the lodging industry is also interested in having some regulation of the short-term rentals. But then there are folks who maybe are just renting an empty room in their home because they're empty nesters, or older folks who might need the extra income that have a little apartment that they want to rent out, or a room in their homes. So any input that this caucus can give to me personally, so I can use that in for my knowledge in my committee, I would really appreciate. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. I think that's that gives me an idea for my, I'd like to find out from my, again, I'm hearing from people from all over the board on this. Some people who rent their homes, some people who purchased a home for their retirement but don't live here yet. They're going to be living here, when they retire. So things, anyway, and then of course people who are disturbed by short-term rentals, who are neighbors and in their housing complexes or their neighborhoods. So I'm hearing from all over. I'd like to get an understanding of where the hospitality industry is on these as well. So I'll probably reach out. I'll try to get some information for you from the people in this area. And I would urge us all to, and maybe I'll just put that out there for the caucus to see if they have any thoughts, if they're hearing things from their industry in their areas. So
I think that would be great, Heidi. Maybe collect some information next week while we're on break, all of us, and see where we can come up with this. I know as we're not going to take it up before crossover, we have a little bit of time to do that research. So I think that would be super helpful.
Okay.
And certainly, if any of you want to come to my committee and testify on what you've learned, we would be happy to have you.
Okay, we lost a number of people just because meetings started at 8:30 today, Friday, again, before town meeting day break. So I know we're all busy. Are there any other issues that you'd like the committee, the people here would like the committee to kind of watch out for? I'll get this all together for folks and send it out to the caucus members. But is there anything else? And Heather, if you have anything else we should be aware of too, jump in here.
I just actually wanted to thank everybody for all the work. I mean, it's really helpful to hear, exactly how this touches all the different committees. Not a surprise, but it's just, I really just enjoyed hearing the update this morning and really appreciate everybody's work, because there's so many issues far and wide that affect this industry, that it's really just helpful to hear that folks are so engaged on this. So thank you.
That's great. We appreciate you being as available as you are to us and as responsive, and all of your work. I know it's incredibly difficult. I would hate to be, I would not want to be in the position that a lot of that you guys are as the administration, and it's just, I know it's been a long year, and we appreciate all of the work you've been doing and all of the advocacy on behalf of our tourism and hospitality industry. And again, thank you for being at our disposal as much as you are too, and we'll continue through this session. But anybody else? Okay, I'm going to put some stuff together for everybody for the town meeting day break, and you guys can, and then we'll be in touch through next week, and then, well, not through next week. Have an enjoyable week off, and then we'll be in touch after. I'll send this out to you prior to town meeting, obviously, but we'll be in touch. We'll meet the first Friday afterwards, and we'll give you an update of the meeting with the governor and Dr. Levine as well at that point. So, and in the meantime, feel free to send me any emails or questions on anything or ideas that you might have. Okay. All right. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi.
A good week.